Greetings, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome. I am the Crypto Crow. It is 8/6/2024. It's about 3 p.m. Eastern. It is Tuesday. I am gearing up, getting ready for Rare Evo, which is coming up on the 15th to the 17th. And you guys, I'll show you the website. I'm pumped about this. I'm actually pretty excited. I think this looks like it's going to be a baller event. Tickets are still on sale. Looks like VIP tickets are sold out, but you can get general admission still. And there are going to be so many stinking people at this event. I'm looking forward to it. Pretty much all these different, I'd like to meet some of the people from Brave personally. Ronan, Midnight, Iagon. I'm looking forward to meeting those guys. Hopefully it's a lot of the founders and like the important people and not just like, you know, booth filler people. They're like, I want to meet all these people and get business cards and set up networking and communicate. Internet Computer is going to be there, which I'm really excited to meet these guys. Snack folks, World Mobile. I mean, there's just all the big cool projects, not just on Cardano, but on some other chains as well. And I'm just super excited, man. I mean, all of these people, Cornucopius, I'm finally going to meet Josh and Rob face to face for the first time. It'll be a blast, man. And there's just so much more. They keep adding. There's so many more people. All of these speakers that are going to be at this thing. I mean, the list goes on and on and on. And I feel like they add more on a regular basis. You got Austin and Aaron, obviously, they're at every event. I don't know how they travel so much, but they're like all over the place at all times. Tim Harrison, I'm looking forward to meeting him. Obviously, Charles and I have been chatting just briefly today, kind of figuring out where we're going to shoot our interview. Looks like he's going to have a whole setup. Patrick over with NMKR, who we've been working with them on Wargrum. And, yeah, this is going to be so cool. You got Loudmouth down there. I'm sure he's going to be a hype machine throughout the whole thing. You got AJ. This is going to be an exciting event. So make sure you attend if you're able. And if you pick up one of my shirts and you're going to this event, that'll be super cool. I definitely want to get pictures with you with the shirts on. True Democracy starts with Cardano. That's one shirt. I just released 2 new shirt designs yesterday. I'm not perfect, but I'm a Cardano holder, so pretty close. So hopefully people will get a kick out of that. Obviously there's a link in the description below. So let's dive into what's going on a bit. We're going to go over price action with Cardano, with Solana, with Bitcoin, kind of what's going on. I'm also going to talk about a project called lofty.ai. There's a link in the description below. We both benefit if you click it. It's kind of like the old Coinbase referral system. I think you get like a $50 token, and I get a $50 token to invest in properties. And that's basically what Lofty AI is all about. They sent me a message on Twitter and they said, hey, we'd like to send you a $50 gift to check out our platform. And they're like, we don't do paid promotions or anything, but if you're interested, we'd like to, have you check it out and give us your feedback. I'm going to give my feedback in this video, and they can watch it if they'd like. I actually just got off the phone not long ago with somebody who has listed properties on Lofty, who manages like 500 properties or something crazy, and he's been super helpful. Sent me this whole breakdown calculation of what my property could potentially do, what to expect, all that. I'm going to share some of that towards the end of this video. It could be a really cool way to take advantage of the equity you have in your home, as everything is so expensive and difficult right now. If you've got equity, it may be something worth looking into, because I'm definitely looking into it. I've got bills to pay and I just want to get it all taken care of as quickly and easily as possible. And it has not been easy. So I'm working through that, and we're going to go over, of course, Cardano's price. And I'm going to show you something else too that I've been working on as it relates to Crow Score. So let's just dive into it all, and hopefully we'll have a good fun video, and it'll be chaptered down below so that you can skip to things that you think are more important. Cardano's on-chain activity skyrockets in July despite market crash. The Cardano Foundation has recently shared statistics for Cardano's network in July, revealing growth in on-chain activity, which has been pretty standard. I mean, for a while now, it's been consistently growing more and more, especially as we get closer to the Chang hard fork. The Cardano Foundation highlighted the steady growth in Cardano's on-chain activity for the past month, noting that this momentum highlights dynamic growing ecosystem and the ongoing engagement of the community. So, and they've shared some statistics, 94.6 million transactions. It's up 1.62%, up almost 2% on the number of Pluto scripts running, 10.2 million native tokens, 150,477 policies. This is 7.6% up. Delegated wallets 1.35 million. That hasn't been fluctuating too much. I mean, everything is going up, some things faster than others. I think the development side seems to be going up, and a lot of people that have been accumulating Cardano for a long time are already delegated, and there's surprisingly a lot of people out there that are not delegating huge sums of ADA, and I still haven't figured that out. It's a node. It's so simple to generate a yield holding Cardano. It blows my mind that there are so many people. I mean, there are whales with millions of ADA and they're not delegating it anywhere, generating a passive yield. So I'm not quite sure why. I don't know if those are like internal wallets that don't want to like hurt other people or what, but nobody knows who the wallets belong to other than they just have a lot of ADA on them. So the July on-chain statistics indicate that Cardano experienced mild growth in various metrics, indicating increasing network usage and activity. According to the graphic posted by the Cardano Foundation, transactions reached 94.6 million, representing 1.62% in growth, and everything else I've already gone over. ADA price dips amid market sell-off, well, along with everything else. Bitcoin dropped nearly 20% at one point during Monday's trading session, while ADA fell as much as 18% before recovering some of its losses. And we're going to go over some of that information. But the one thing that you don't see in this article is that it's paid or that it's advertisement or anything. You don't really see that. What do you see in a lot of negative Cardano negative Cardano articles? You see that it was sponsored by somebody. Somebody's paying for those anti-Cardano narratives out there, but people buy into it anyway. They don't care. They don't really understand. So we're looking at Bitcoin's price right now. And obviously we got this really big fun dip everybody's been freaking out about, and we've started to get a little bit of a recovery. And you'll notice this box here. This is the CME futures gap that I expect to fill. And you can see it more clearly here. This is the CME futures. You can see this big gap right here between $58,845 and $61,120 or thereabouts. So you can see Bitcoin's price came all the way down here, man, all the way down, hit $49,500 and has since been working its way back up. And if typical price action, it's up 16.32% right now. And if typical price action is going to be basically par for the course here, then ultimately I expect this to go all the way up here into the 62,000 range. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean we're out of the woods yet. Let's be real. It's very likely that the CME gap is going to be filled. And if we look at the liquidity, right now, liquidity is really getting concentrated with $1.47 billion sitting at around 70,500. So the price, there's a lot more liquidity and a lot more benefit to the price getting back up into the $70,000 range than there is to go down. There's nothing anymore. It's all been wiped out hard. So all of this is just tanked. All of this liquidity, all these longs were just basically just wiped. So we know that the CME futures gap is above where we're at now. Okay. Around the 61,000, let's just call it $62,000 range. And then from there, the price is much more beneficial to the market makers if they get it back up into the 70,500 range. So that's the question. Are we going to fill this CME futures gap and continue moving up? Or as we get closer to filling this gap, do we basically touch on this like $62,500 mark? Do we wick through that to fill the gap and then come back down to find support before going up? And that's honestly what I expect to see. I can see us doing something like to this effect. establishing support somewhere within this channel, coming back down, okay, whether we're down at the $61,000 level or the $59,000 level, before we start moving our way back up into the $70,000 mark. Basically, I'm hoping getting to somewhere around the $70,000 mark sometime this month, hopefully, before the end of August. And, this is obviously not to scale in terms of what I expect to see or in what time frame, because, this is the end of August is all the way over here. So this could play out in some channels and then hopefully bounce up and we get to 70,000 by the end of August and everything goes up with it. Obviously, Cardano is making its way back up. So is Solana, to be fair. But, I always see these narrative articles about, Cardano's down 5%. Cardano's down this, that Cardano. Well, Cardano did come down all the way, a 39% drop from the local peak here, around 45 cents. But you know what's funny? Solana dropped even more. You don't see this in the headlines or the paid advertisements, but Solana dropped 43, almost 43.5% before making its way back up. So it dropped harder than Cardano did, and Cardano's obviously still making its way back. So that's a good sign. And you can also see that there's a lot of bulls sitting up there around the 50-cent range, which that was not the case. This flipped. This used to be a lot more bears around the 47 to 50 cent range than there were bulls, and that has changed. So I'm hoping that becomes a good solid catalyst for our momentum to the upside from here. But we've also got a lot of bull or bearish resistance up here at around 45 cents. So we have to burn through that before we move further into the 50-cent range. But I'm really hoping to see a lot of this price action take place and really solidify with some really good local highs by the end of August. It's what I've been hoping for, what I've been saying now for months. And, I obviously wasn't expecting this significant dip, but somebody that also that I really like a lot, who is finally starting to get a little more active again, is Jacob Canfield. And one of the things that he pointed out that I haven't really prepped here yet, but he basically said that in pretty much every annual cycle or every annual chart, the price always tests back to the annual open. So basically, like at the beginning of 2021, so you can see January 2021. Let's see, January 2021. Where were we? Okay, so basically right around here, right? We had all of this move into the market. Well, this was into the bull market, so it doesn't really matter as much. Of course, it came back down, but and ultimately it came back down here. So we had the market, or the annual open, price went up, came all the way back down to test itself before shooting back up. Basically, what he was trying to spell out, maybe I'll do a more clear video on this in the future, but pretty much every year except for 2023 and 2024, the price has always come back to test the price it started at the beginning of that year. So I'm actually curious. I'll probably do a video on that separately in the future, but where were we here? Let's take a look at 2024. So 2024, you got December, January. So basically what this is saying is that, so you can see this here. The price here is around 41,000, okay? Around 41,500. We could even call it 42,000. So what Jacob is basically saying is the price could potentially come up here, fill that CME gap, and work its way all the way back down into around the 42,000 area before then turning around, going back to new highs. And what's funny is the way I look at this is, if that were to happen, if it were to happen now rather than later, like we saw in the 2021 market peak, where it peaked up, came back down, tested the market or the annual open before going back up for a second peak, if we get that out of the way now, then it could very much mean a significant parabolic run throughout the year into 2025, and we likely wouldn't have that big pullback that we had in the last bull market cycle. So we'll see how it plays out. Obviously, I'm going to be watching it, and it was actually a really good note by him. Now, this, just so you guys know, this is an Excel sheet that's being built and programmed. There's coding involved with this, and it's basically basically the first what do I call this? It's like the first iteration of the Crow score, and it's a manually updated system, or elements of this, like market cap, volume, circulating supply, total supply, existence, and whether or not it's a layer one. This all updates based on API data. It's running the script right now, and ultimately I can see the prices changing over here and all of that. And a lot of this data will change other than the manual entries of it. And these scores will change. They'll go up and down based off of how the market is handling them. And I'm working on another version of this. This is for like launched projects. Like, how are they performing in the market once they've been listed on like CoinMarketCap, right? But then there's going to be a project launch version of this that I'm going to be using. And then what's coming is we're building a software as a service that is ultimately going to take all of this data, compare it to other projects in its niche. So whether it's like a real world asset or just like a layer one blockchain or a gaming token or whatever. And all of this is going to be automated to a certain extent. Some of it's going to be manual because there's no way around it. But we're going to have two different systems for launch projects and then established projects. All these different metrics are going to go into the scoring of these projects, which is ultimately going to be updated on a regular basis as well. And then reports are going to be created based on them. And then these reports are going to be available on this website, and it will be a service, and people will be able to use this service to understand the projects. We want to feed in updates related to the project. I want to be able to create a portfolio of your favorite projects that you're investing in and stay up to date. Because here's the thing, the Crow score itself, I back tested this. I think I did a video on it where I back tested some of the projects on these charts, because the data that I had on here was from back in 2023 or no. Yeah, I think it was the beginning of 2023. And I was looking at these projects and I'm like, I wonder how these projects would score now, and how well has the price of these projects done since they were originally scored. And if you watch the video that I did, I think I looked at 5 of them, and my metrics were hitting. Like if it scored really well, it was probably doing pretty well in price. If it didn't score that well, or it scored poorly, it either has been doing poorly ever since. There was one, I don't remember if it was a meme project or what it was, but that one actually did well. It was ranked. The total score was in the red. It wasn't ranking well. But overall, my metrics are pretty damn solid, and we're adding to them. We're making them a little bit more complex so that we can really compare one project from another and their progression over time, not just based on like predetermined metrics. Like if it falls into this line, it gets this, falls into that, it gets that. We want to see which ones are beating the others in their niche, right? There's a lot going into this. And so, keep your eyes open on that, because this is a really big deal, and I'm trying to make this. We were working on it before, and I'm thinking to myself, you know what, this is too rudimentary for me. It still doesn't feel safe to me. And there are other things that we're going to be doing, especially for launch projects, where launch projects are, there's a lot of stuff we're going to be able to do with white papers. And we're going to know, like, did you plagiarize the paper? How much of your white paper has been plagiarized? We're going to be able to take a lot of data out of that white paper, compare it to, what is expected in that particular industry or vertical within the blockchain space. What is the general use case? How there's just so many things. And these are all going to be for the entry level crow scores. Okay. You're going to have your launch crow score for brand new projects. You're going to have your established crow score for projects that are on CMC, and that they're doing exchange volume and things like that. And then you're going to have your ultimate score. And the ultimate score is basically going to be where like the power team comes in, and they're going in and they're dissecting code, and they're doing like deep, just like making sure that everything is legit. So yeah, and like a lot of these numbers and a lot of this stuff is going to be featured on Riskwise Pro, and you're going to be able to see the scores on Riskwise, but then when you click those scores, it's going to take you to the Crow Score website if you want to read the entire deep dive report that's established for each of these projects. So I'm getting excited about this. We're definitely working on it. Also, before I dive into some of the other stuff like Lofty and things, I also, what was I just about to say? Son of a gun. Hold on. I can't remember what I was about to say. Well, make sure you guys join the Substack. You need to go through and check all the links in the description of this video. You really should. And pick up a t-shirt, because I want to see everybody. I want to see a bunch of my shirts out of Rare Evo, daggone it. That'll just make my whole weekend worth it. Oh, that's right. Apex Fusion. A lot of you guys and gals that keep asking me for updates on Apex Fusion. There's stuff coming. But what I can say is that some of the stuff is a little delayed because they're just working on a whole bunch of stuff. I mean, that's really about the bulk of it. But I will say that I am working on launching a node. I'm setting up a testnet node because I want to understand how all of that stuff works. And the same gentleman that's been helping me with my Excel automation, and I've got another gentleman that's helping me work. I'm supposed to be talking to him. I probably should have talked to him already today. I'll get to you if you're watching this. There's a whole bunch of stuff going on. I'm like so busy, but we're going to set up this testnet node, and it's going to basically flip into a mainnet node at launch. And honestly, Apex Fusion is going to be one of the blockchains that we're working to integrate Wargrum with. And for those of you that are, if you're into trading card gaming, make sure you click the link down below and join this waitlist. I can't stress this enough. You all joining this wait list is going to help us in so many ways, because I'm going to tell you straight up, this is what's happening right now. We have a fully playable MVP. Like, it's fully playable. It works. It plays strong. It's pretty badass. It's pretty badass. But there's still work to be done. There are a lot of effects and things we want to add. We're finalizing a lot of the blockchain elements to this. And we want this to be cross-chain. And ultimately, what we want to do is we want to have like this world map. It's going to be broken down into hexes, okay? And anytime players take over one of these hexes, it's basically going to be based off of like a time frame. Like if you hold it for a certain amount of time, you're going to be rewarded with resources from that area, that zone, that land that you control. And what our ultimate goal is when you're playing somebody, we want an icon. We want you to have an icon. I want to create a blockchain versus blockchain element to Wargrum. If you're playing on Cardano blockchain and you're playing against somebody like on Polygon or Apex Fusion or another blockchain, I want them to be represented. Because the wallet that you use is going to tell the game, it's going to tell the system what blockchain you're using, right? And we were going to have an icon. So if you know you're playing somebody on another blockchain, it's almost like adding another element of competition. Like, who are the better Wargrum players? Is it going to be Cardano people? Is it going to be Polygon people? Is it going to be Apex Fusion people? Maybe Binance Smart Chain folks. So that's just a whole nother element of something we're working on. But at the same time, we are actually getting investment interest. And Eli, my partner in the game, and just overall, he's basically the architect. Obviously, I've been doing all the art and a lot of that stuff, and he's been doing all the back end stuff, working with the developers and coders. And but he has a lot of friends in the industry, and I can't show anything yet, but I will say that there is an individual who's been responsible for a lot of AAA games, including like XCOM 2. Who's now involved with us and has been helping us with a lot of different things, and let's just say connecting us with some really cool people. And so we've got a lot of stuff in process, but one of the big things that is going to help us facilitate a lot of this stuff is the waitlist. And it doesn't sound like that big of a deal, but when you go to the waitlist, some of the questions that you're going to answer are going to help us in our development cycle. Because this is all you go through, and it's going to ask you, what blockchain do you prefer? Just like a lot of different things, but it's also going to help show these investor groups that there's really good interest in the game. And the goal is for us to get to 10,000. Everybody wants us to get to 10,000 people on this wait list. So I will tell you that people that join this wait list, when we're ready to launch some cool stuff or giveaways or any of that, the people in the wait list are going to get first crack at all of that. And there is going to be some really cool shit coming. Okay, because we're planning for it, and we want to reward everybody that's becoming a part of this wait list because it's going to help us so much. So make sure you check that out. All right. And I'll leave that alone for now. Now, real quick, let's take a look. 60%. We are at 60% of the delegation nodes, the Cardano nodes, at 9.1 ready for Chang. We are only 10% away, folks. This just shot up. I'm about to kick my freaking developer in the teeth because he keeps putting this off, telling me he keeps waiting for something. Like, what the fuck are you waiting for, dude? At this point, like, everybody is ahead of us and we're last, and it's pissing me off. I feel like I don't know what I need to do. I just feel like he's so busy. And he's just always holding me off anymore. And it's just like, it gets so frustrating because I have a lot of reasons to be frustrated. But it is at 60%. We're 10% away. We may very well kick this off. We might be launching Chang Hard Fork the day of or the day before Rare Evo. I didn't even see this until just now. This is blowing me away, man. We're almost there. True decentralization, man. And you know what? True democracy starts with Cardano, baby. This is where it all begins. The Chang hard fork. And on top of that, and this is the whole reason why I made this shirt. And it actually means a lot to me. And this is one of the top selling shirts of all my shirts. And that is, it's Let's Chang the world. And, a lot of people were complaining that I didn't have it a bunch of different colors. So I went ahead and I made it in different colors. But you can see, man, you got the world, you've got every race of being, you've got aliens, you've got just everything and everybody, man. And they're all just holding hands across the world, working on establishing a true democracy. And it's like, there are a lot of people out in the world today that keep saying, we need to preserve our democracy. Yet everything that they're doing is so tyrannical. It's like the polar opposite. And it's like, true democracy starts with something like Cardano. I mean, it really does. And I know that a lot of people that agree with what's going on, or what they're told is going on anyway, they agree with it. So they gobble all this up and they support the way things are going, but they just don't really understand what's happening for real. And it's not good. And it's like, true democracy means, everybody's vote counts, not just the votes for those that you agree with. And it's a really big deal. And it means a lot to me. And the democracy or the decentralized nature of Cardano really is a big deal for me. And I think it's going to change a lot of things. And I honestly can't wait for the Chang hard fork. And for those of you that don't know, I just found out recently, I've talked about it briefly, but Chang, because even my wife, she saw my shirt because I was wearing one of these, and she was like, did you do another typo? Because she knows I make a lot of typos when I type stuff fast. She's like, shouldn't there be an E on that? And I was like, actually, no, dear. This is the Chang hard fork. It was named after one of the developers who sadly passed away. And so the entire hard fork was named after him. And it's Chang, not change. It is time to Chang the world. Okay, thank you. That was the one time where she like thought she busted me in a typo and it was intentional. She's like, oh, so you didn't accidentally do that and then come up with a way to justify it after you had your shirts made? And I'm like, no, I didn't. This is what it's supposed to be. So anyway, now we're going to take a look at this. This could make you money, and this could be, and this is not paid. This is not a paid segment. This is something that I am genuinely looking into myself that I think you may benefit from if you're into it. So this is lofty.com. Okay. And let's see. I want to just go. No, I don't want to learn. I just want to go to the website. These folks reached out to me on Twitter. And they're like, hey, you know, we want you to check out our platform. These are my assets. I have a $50 token in a property in Palm Coast, Florida. Okay. Now, basically what this is that it enables people to do one of two things. You can either A, list the equity in your property for sale to investors, and then generate a yield. Okay. So let's say you have, 30% equity available in the house you own. And you're like, you know what? I need cash now. And I don't necessarily want to lose the property because maybe it's a good investment property, or you have tenants and you're renting it out or whatever, but you need cash. In effect, it's almost like a home equity line of credit that you're not having to go through the banks for. But investors are buying your equity through this tokenized system. I think it's on Polygon, Avalanche, Algorand. It's on the Algorand blockchain. They all start sounding the same after a while, if I'm honest. But you can pick properties that you want to invest in, like this property here, 15 Wilshire Boulevard in Lubbock, Texas. Projected annual return of 21.67%. Projected rental yield 20.67%, and rental yield 20.67%. You can buy as much of the available equity as is available, but what happens is the person that owns the property. So I actually just talked to this gentleman who owns this property as part of his Thunder Sun Homes in Texas. Austin Hughes. I just talked to him. Super, super, super helpful. Because what happened was I was going through this website, I'm looking at everything and I'm reading the facts and I'm still learning about this. And by the way, if you click the link down below, the only thing I stand to make from even doing this segment is if you click the link below and you get a $50 gift coupon to buy a share of one of the properties on here, and I get a $50 coupon, right? So if 100 of you guys go out there and you're like, I'm going to check this out, I'm going to get into this, then I benefit, right? But that's it. They have not paid me for anything. They flat out told me they don't pay people to do promotions. Which is fine. But when I was looking at it, I'm like, I might be willing to do something like this for one of my properties. And so I'm really diving into it. And I had this really good phone conversation with this gentleman because I said to him, I'm like, listen, tell me the real deal. Like, is this legitimate? Is this cool? Is it fair? Is it like, how does it work? And he explained everything to me, the pros and cons of it all. And he's like, I researched these guys for a couple of months before I got into it, right? I'm going to go ahead and pull myself over here so that you can see me talking as well, just in case you care. And he's like, I researched these guys for a couple of months myself before I did anything. And this was one of the first properties he's listed. And he's working on another one that's coming. And the way he broke it down is, if you take like 30% of your equity, you have to retain at least 10% of the equity available in the property. You manage the property still, but a lot of the expenses and things are distributed throughout the investors from the yield of the property, whether it's like an Airbnb or it's a long-term rental property or whatever the case may be. And what happens is the equity in your property is then tokenized and then sold in this marketplace. And then Lofty makes 3% on the buy side, 3% on the sell side. So they're effectively basically being like the real estate agent, right? So when somebody buys shares of a property, I don't even know if shares is the right term, but if they buy a fraction of a property, then Lofty's making 3% on that transaction, and they facilitate pretty much everything in the system. And you can structure your plan any way you want. And then once that's all established, the thing is you have to basically sign the deed of the property over to a DAO LLC, a Wyoming DAO LLC. And then it becomes kind of a democracy on ultimately what happens with the property over time. Like if there's a big change, let's say it's a long-term property and somebody's not paid up, maybe they're late by a month on their rent or whatever the case may be, then it all basically goes into a vote. And then all of the owners of the equity in your property can vote on what happens. What do you do? Well, do you work out a payment plan for that person, or do you just evict them immediately? You start the eviction process, right? But then on the flip side, as a token holder, like let's say you're just wanting to invest in properties. Well, I could go in and say, okay, I want to buy some of this property. And you basically plug in how many tokens you want to buy. So 25 tokens, there's $98 in fees. And to buy that, it's $1,323.20, right? And then that would basically allow me to buy 25 tokens of the equity in this property. And each token is worth roughly $50. So depending on how much equity is available for the property, they basically divide that by a number of $50 tokens, and then that's what is sold to the investors. So when you list a property, then your plan for that property then goes to the investor list. And then they basically look at it and they say, okay, well, this is the plan for the property. Oh, this is going to be an Airbnb, or, oh, this is going to be a long-term rental. This is going to be the rent of the property. This is all of the details on the property. And then the projected return on investment, every year. And then they decide, okay, I want to buy some of these tokens. And then on the listing side, those tokens they're sold on the marketplace minus the fee. The rest is basically put in a USDC stable token and paid directly to your Lofty wallet. And then from there, you can send it to whatever exchange you want and pull it out. So you have very quick access to the equity capital in a house you own. And, some people, but at the same time, you're always responsible for paying down the mortgage. Like whatever, if you have a mortgage on the property, you have to pay that down. And there's a lot of calculations involved with it. But I think this actually looks pretty legitimate. And I might actually get a few more tokens and some different properties and things. And I'm going to keep up to date with Austin. I might, if you guys let me know in the comments below, like, what do you guys think of me having this property management guy? He's got like 500 properties under management. He's starting to list some of them on here. And I'm highly considering doing something like this, and structuring it in a way that's fair to everybody, and then seeing what's possible, because we have our property in Florida, and we want to sell it, but we don't want to sell it because this house would be amazing as an Airbnb. The pool at this house is like the Playboy Mansion pool. I mean, the house isn't a Playboy Mansion, but the pool is. The original owner of this house built the pool at cost. And at one point, this house was on the news because the pool was so extravagant and insane, given the neighborhood and like the house it was built as a part of. The house is great. I mean, it's a big ass house, lots of bedrooms. There's a movie theater in this house. Okay. But and it's very, very close to an amusement park. And it would probably do really, really well as an Airbnb. And so, we're thinking, well, we could get some of that equity, help cover, a lot of the crazy stuff that's been going on lately, because we've been, it's just not been good. Like financially, it's just not been a good couple of years. And we're at a point now where it's like, all right, well, we want to cut, remedy some loose ends, have some left over to basically help what we've got to live on because a lot of my money is tied up in crypto. I mean, let's be real about it. and it's all down right now. So it's just like, I don't know how long it's going to take for everything to really recover. And so I'm looking at options, and I'm looking at Lofty. If you've used Lofty before, let me know in the comments below. If you think this sounds cool and you plan on using it, let me know in the comments below. I'd really appreciate it. And if you do, by all means, use my link, because the more I have to play with on here, the more I can start following up with this and say, hey, okay, this is what I bought. These are the assets that I have. And like, I'm going to keep tabs on this and I'm going to see what happens over the next month or so. And then, if all looks really good and everybody's giving me good feedback, and I just joined their big Discord community. It's a private community you can only become a part of, if you're an investor, or if you're an investor or a lister. Like, if you're just looking around like, hey, I'm curious, you don't get the invitation. But once you're actually a part of the system, and I look, man, the Discord community is buzzing and people are talking, and there's a lot going on. People are swapping tips and tricks and things, and giving each other's opinions on different scenarios on how they should vote on this or that. I mean, people take it really seriously, and it's really pretty cool. It's cool enough that I talked to my wife about it. I'm like, this could be something that's pretty legit that we might want to look into. And then after talking to Austin, he seems to really dig it. And he's like, listen, you got to do certain things to make sure that you're at least at a break even based off of a worst case scenario. And he goes, and it makes a lot of sense. And he told me he worked up his spreadsheet on this property, and he's like, dude, your cash to cash would be so high, you would probably sell out of your equity tokens like instantly. He was like, because the potential for your property is insane. And he was, showing me all these charts, and he was showing me like these other websites that where my property would fit on Airbnb. And he was like, yeah, man, he was like, you'd probably do really, really well, and a lot of people would benefit from it. So I'm like, well, all the more reason to keep looking into it. So I'm doing this segment primarily to let you guys know this could be cool. I've been looking into it. I've had some chats with people. I'm still diving into it more and more. But let me know if this interests you. If it does, I will definitely keep you guys posted on everything that's coming, and everything I do. I've got one little piece of one little property, nothing significant, but it looks pretty cool. And it looks like the system that they have established is pretty cool. So yeah, click in the link, give $50, get $50 of gift certificates when you refer people using my link, which I basically cloaked under the cryptocrow.io. It's down in the description below. Go click that, sign up, check it out. Help me investigate this website, will you? I'd greatly appreciate it. Make sure you join the wait list for Wargrum. You got to do that. This video has 5,000 views. I would like to see 4,500 of you sign up to this wait list. You'll be happy you did, I promise. At some point, you're going to be very happy you're a part of that wait list. Even if you're not into TCG games, this might get you into one, because I haven't even touched on everything that we've got planned. And if things go well over the next month and we bring all of the stuff into fruition, I'm telling you right now, there ain't nothing like it anywhere in the world, and it's gonna be pretty cool. Real quick, let me take a quick look at what's happened before I sign off. Yeah, things are moving forward. So yeah, that's it for right now, folks. I want to thank Austin for giving me a buzz, and there's a lot of information out there on Lofty. I encourage you to go read it, check it out. And let me know what you guys think, because it's deep. I mean, there's a lot to it. It's all a DAO. A lot of Q&A and things like that. So check it out. Let me know what you think in the comments. I'm actually asking you legitimately, like, help me look this whole thing up. Let me know what you find. Let me know what you think, because this is a big deal for me. And I don't want to do anything bad. I don't want to do anything wrong. I want to make sure that it's all on the up and up, that everybody that's using it is very happy that they're using it. It's one of those things. I want both sides of everything to be like happy and better off for it. The listing side, if you've got a property, if you're an investor, I want to make sure that it's going well for investors. So, and I'm going to dive into the Discord as well, so that I'm going to start asking those questions. And I probably will have Austin on to do an interview and break things down even further. So until next time, guys, thanks for joining me. Crow your coins, and I'll see you again real soon.